Yeah, I think if I was to approach a difficult conversation with you, no matter what the subject, I'd just give you a call and say, do you want to come round for a brew, or I need to talk to you, and I know you would come round quickly and we'd just get straight into it. I wouldn't need to
That's quite interesting, because what you do to me, and it's always, and you know what I'm going to say, it's always a red flag. So I'll get a text off Emma, and then we'll say, or I'll get a text off you, and you will say to me, do you fancy coming round for a brew? And I think, something's wrong. Okay, so I'm in the car and I'm straight there. And I'll listen to you, and we do it. That's our way of doing it, I think. So it's a red flag. There's something wrong with her. You won't actually say, Mum, I need help at the moment, or blah, blah, blah. But you're always, do you want to come round for a brew?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, okay then. And that is one of the things with you. I won't ask you a lot of things because I think, well, she's got 2 kids. She's working. I think desperation levels, I would ask for support. If I was totally, on my knees, or something quite tragic had happened, or there was a particular bad issue with my health, yeah, I would say, look, I'm going to need some time here, I'm going to need some support here and some help here. But other than that, no,
I don't think you would.
But I've always been quite independent as well, and I wouldn't say it's losing that independence, it's just, I always think, well, I can handle it myself. If I couldn't handle it, fair enough, I'd come to you, but 9 times out of 10 I can handle stuff.
It does worry me a little bit that you do that, because I think, what might you be internalising? However, I know that you do have a really good support system from friends and from your partner and things like that, so it doesn't worry me, but I would like it if you were just a bit more like, I could do with your help as well sometimes, just be open about it. I'd feel uncomfortable not uncomfortable talking about care,
right?
But I think you would feel uncomfortable, and I, similar, going back to me being a little bit selfish, don't really want to acknowledge that that's something I am going to have to possibly take on the burden of, and I'm an only child, so that does scare me a little bit. Mm-hmm. And I think, I don't like thinking about the fact that I might have to factor that into my life one day, and it's a massive thing to think about, like caring for somebody else, or what to do about their care, or if you weren't able to make that decision yourself and I had to make that decision for you, and the financial implications, like, it's a huge thing to talk about.
It's massive pressure.
And so I think we have thus far avoided it because it's just such a lot to factor in.
I think to a degree it's never going to happen,
yeah.
But it is going to happen. That's, it's inevitable. It will happen at some point that I will age, and I'll end up in a home, or I don't know, I'll have some major illness, or something will happen. So it is something that we do need to talk about at some point. But I'm the same as you. I don't particularly want to talk about it with you, because I don't want to put that responsibility on you.
Yeah.
And because you are an only child, that's a lot of responsibility for you. It's happening with me and my dad at the moment, because my brother Martin lives in Bristol. A lot of it's on me, and I feel that pressure, and I think I don't want Emma to feel this.
I think there's like part of it as well that you don't want to talk about it, because it's kind of acknowledging the next stage of life, which is, eventually that your parent isn't going to be here anymore, and that's not something that you again want to acknowledge. For me as well, like, I don't want to think about there's going to come a time where I have to deal with that situation. I know you're not going to be here forever, but you don't want to think about the reality of it, and taking the steps to talk about care is acknowledging that actually,
at some point,
this is the path that we're on.
But it's a conversation that we do need to have, because, if I do end up with dementia or Alzheimer's or something like that, I would like to know that at this stage in my life, that the care that would be in place for me at that particular stage, in 10 years' time, 5 years' time, whatever, that you know exactly what to do and how to sort it out, and what my feelings about that would be. So you wouldn't be making, although you make a lot of the decisions, you would also take into consideration what I wanted. And I've thought about getting my dad...
You know what a personal alarm
I thought about getting my dad a personal alarm. And it was that incident that triggered it, when he fell over and he couldn't get up, and there was, nobody's walking past or anything like that. And at least then he might have got some sort of help. Somebody might have heard that, or it might... I think some of them might go through to call centres where they pick up that somebody's in, a bit of an emergency situation. So things like that. So if I get to that point, I hope you would put a tracker on me.
Yeah.
That'd be good. Yeah. Even though you couldn't bother coming out finding me.
I couldn't be bothered, but I get someone else to do it.
Can you go and pick my mother up? She's at the side of the motorway. But my dad you know what granddad's like, and my dad is a little bit like me, as in terms of, I'm not ready for that yet, I haven't got that, and he won't really admit to things, and that he finds that really difficult. So, and I get that as well. But he won't accept the help, so I'm struggling with that at the moment.
So have you spoken to him about what's going to happen if he deteriorates, or is he just not willing to?
He won't go into that conversation. But it's not like I can take charge of his life either, or because he's still got capacity, and while he's got capacity, there's nothing I can do about it. I've just got to go with the way he is.
Yeah, I do feel nervous about you getting older and me still having youngish, not even youngish children as well. I feel like because I've got 2 boys that they're always going to be needy, and to have to look after you and manage them at the same time does fill me with dread, like how I would manage it. I'd like to hope at that point that I've scaled back on work. I do think about that. I think the kids will be more independent, and I've raised them to be really independent, and they would help me. But I do think I would be stressful, and it does worry me, and I haven't fully thought about what that's actually going to be like.
Well, that's interesting for me, because I'm actually going through that at the moment because of my dad and all my dad's problems and all the rest of it, and all the things that get thrown my way because of him. Let's say, like recently he's had his falls again, and you know, problems with his health and stuff like that. And then I've got Emma, and I've got to make sure she's all right, and she's mentally all right, and mental health's all right, because she's got a lot of work on, and she's got 2 children. And then I think I've got my grandchildren, who are very demanding and are constantly on my case to do something with them. I've got all my mates who want to do things as well. I've got bars that I need to run and customers to keep happy. So that, mental health wise, can be absolutely, it's emotionally tiring, it's draining at times, where and I find it especially with my dad, because my dad's the one who puts the most pressure on.
And there's not really an obvious solution to it, is there? Because everybody does need you, and you don't want to have to say no to.
It's different. You can't really, because I've got my dad, who to a degree I've got to meet his needs. I've got to make sure that he's okay and his well-being's okay. I've got 2 young grandchildren that are really important to me, and I want to spend time with as well. But again, their mental well-being is important as well, so I've got to make sure they're okay. Even though you're brilliant.
That's my job.
Yeah, I know that, but they spend time with me, so I've got to make sure they're happy when they're with me and they're enjoying their time with me. I've got my daughter who's very busy and is always doing stuff, so I want to make sure she's okay. It's a lot of pressure at times, and I find my dad probably the most pressure out of it all, because I've got no help here.
Yeah, I think I've learnt that I probably do put on you, not massively, maybe massively, but because I think I see you as my mum, so that's what your role is in my life, is to be my mum and look after me and help me and listen to me. And because you're older, you are able to give me advice, so that's why I come to you. But then I suppose I don't acknowledge that you also have a lot of stresses and strains, but in different ways, and it's easy to get caught up in the fact that I'm running around after 2 kids, and to think, well, you don't have that, which is a massive strain in my life. I love them, but and so it's made me realise that actually, especially with Grandad, that you do have things as well, and that I do, if we chat on the phone, or even whenever I come around on Wednesdays, I always am like, how have you been, what have you been up to? And we always do that.
One thing that I love about that, so on Wednesdays I pick the children up from school, and you come and pick them up later, don't you, after they've had the tea and stuff like that. And at that point, when we always sit down for a couple of hours, don't we, an hour and a half or whatever, and I think that conversation that we have in that time is quite a meaningful conversation, because I'll say, what's been happening in your week, how are you feeling about this, how's work at the moment, and how's things with the boys. You'll ask me things about things that I told you that are going on with my life, and it's quite a meaningful time, that. And I think I phone you up in the week and say, you okay, mental health okay, you're not struggling with anything, blah blah blah, and we do have that conversation, don't we?
I think maybe it's just made me realise that we're having that conversation, but maybe more often I should say, do you need any help? But I think it's just natural to just think, well, I'm the kid. But this conversation has made me realise that I will endeavour to ask more often if you need any help.